friends, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Fort Worth Roots.
Well, it's a Navy base now.
Yeah, Navy base. And then what about those Army nerds over there?
There's very, very few Army nerds over there.
There might be more than you think. You can find Fort Worth Roots online at fortworthroots.com. On all social media sites, we are Fort Worth Roots. There are also videos associated with these episodes. You can go to YouTube and look for Fort Worth Roots. We tell you more information about our sponsors and events at the end of the show. Real quick, this episode is sponsored by Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk. You can find them online at roofingsolutionshouk.com or reach them at 817-882-6520. More than just sponsors, these people are great friends of ours now, and they are very highly rated. Check them out online. Do your own research. These are the people that you want helping you protect your most valuable asset. 817-882-6520. That's Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk. This weekend, I've got completely planned out for you. Starting off Saturday, December 10th at 6 p.m., River Oaks Christmas Parade, and the route ends at City Hall for the Christmas tree lighting. Don't miss that. And then immediately after that, run over to Lola's. We've been talking about this for a month, trying to support our friends the Jaybirds over there, but it's going to be a great show. It's $10 pre-sale, $13 at the door. Starts at 7 p.m. And I'm not sure what the lineup is, but you're going to have Brave Little Hal out there, Good Latimer, Jaybirds, of course, and Court Huang. I'm not even sure I said that right, but it's going to be a great time. If you haven't been out to the new Lola's location, it's excellent. You can Google it. It'll take you right there. I believe that's Berry Street, but it's on the other side of downtown Fort Worth now, and I love their new location. Very clean, very nice, lots of good space for the bands, great food and drinks. Go check that out. Today's episode is special to me because we are always trying to find Fort Worth nonprofits that we can help put the spotlight on and tell our community about. And today we got to do that with Holidays and Heroes. Their website is holidaysandheroes.org. This Thanksgiving, they provided meals for 500 Fort Worth families. And for Christmas, they are providing 651 military family members with a Christmas. If you've been listening to the Fort Worth Roots podcast and you know anything about the show or me, you can understand why this is so important to me to have them on the show. Again, their website is holidaysandheroes.org. You can also get them on Facebook. Search Holidays and Heroes Fort Worth. Again, we have more announcements, more information, and more events at the end of this episode, so stay tuned to the end. That's enough talking out of me. Thank you for being here. Please give it up for our new friend and the founder of holidaysandheroes.org, Kerre Ortegel. And let's start the show. So you've done podcasts before?
Only one, and I did not wear a headset.
You're basically a professional now.
We'll see.
Okay, so we're here today, squeezed in to your very busy schedule to talk about Holidays and Heroes. And this is an organization that you developed on your own. Mm-hmm. And your first year, you said y'all started off with how many families?
39 families. That was back in 2015.
And now you're at 174.
Currently.
So it has grown very quickly.
That number changes frequently, and it may be 180 before the end of the day. Who knows?
Yeah. And so for our audience that doesn't know yet, this is an organization that puts together Christmas for active duty service members. Mm-hmm. So that
active duty and reserve.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that their families can have a Christmas as well.
Right. Well, let me just kind of go back to the beginning. We started in 2015. Mm-hmm. We had to have a meeting over at the base, and we had to get approved by their legal department. And when we were describing what our vision was, which was to basically what you just said, provide Christmas for military families that may not be able to do that for themselves just because of their financial situation. Because most of these families, they're all enlisted families with a pay grade of an E1 to an E6, which is in the lowest pay grade range. And that was our vision. So we went to the base and we talked to them about what we would like to do. They got it approved, and then it just kind of went from there. We developed a wish list that we give to the commanders at the base that they distribute to the service members that they feel like could use some assistance. And the service member gets to take that wish list. They fill it out. You know, I meant to bring those with me. I was going to show you what one looked like. Sorry about that.
Well, you can send me pictures, and
Okay.
I'll add it to the video.
Okay. But anyway, the service member gets to fill out this wish list. I mean, they get to write down things for their children, the ages of their children, sizes of their clothes, toy wishes, anything that the service member or their spouse might want to. A lot of them ask for gift cards or, you know, new dishes. I mean, simple things usually. And then we get these wish lists back, and I take them out into the community, my network of people, pretty much. And they either come over personally and hand select a wish list that they want to take and, you know, go shopping for, or they let me pick one out for them, and I've just emailed them, and that's just really how it started. So the very first year it was 39 families. The way it works is we get these gifts. We have a turn-in date, and it is a very hard deadline. They are due by a certain day, and in our case this year it is December 3rd, because that day we gather up all these gifts. We have mover or firemen that volunteer from Lockheed Martin. They bring over a moving truck. All these gifts are wrapped, labeled. We put them all together. We either put them in boxes or in garbage bags or whatever, just to keep them together, put them in the moving truck, and then the next day go set up a big party for these families.
And typically this is taking place on the base?
Well, yeah, the first year that we did it, we had it down at where Heim's Barbecue is now. Used to be a little VFW post.
Yeah, before they tore that down and put up a delicious barbecue joint. Yeah.
Exactly. And we only had 39 families that first year, but it was our first year to do it, and we didn't really know. Well, we were learning as we went. But anyway, this VFW had a little tiny banquet room.
Right.
So we had to divide up into two parties. So we had an early shift of families that came in, and we had a late shift. It was like 19 families and 20 families each shift. And then the next year we had to move it over here to River Oaks Community Center. And then 2 years after that, we had it at R.D. Evans Community Center over off of Lackland Road. And then in 2019 is the first year that we got to have it at the base, and the Navy gave us one of their big hangars. And that was I thought this was a huge year. It was 75 families in 2019. And it was a lot of fun. But then next year, 2020, COVID, no parties, none at all, but we managed to accomplish our mission anyway. We did drive-by events.
And that one was also on the base?
No. Well, yes. The gathering of the gifts we do at our house. So the sponsors would just drive by and drop off their gifts and then keep moving. But then at the base, they gave us a hangar that they weren't really using for anything else. It wasn't a huge hangar, but all we did was just stage the gifts inside that hangar, and then over like 3 or 4 hours, the families would just come through and we would get their gifts. We had family numbers assigned to each family. So they had a little thing that was put in the windshield of their car, and we knew exactly which number. We would go grab the gifts, bring them out to their car, load them up, and then they would leave. And that year we did 108 families.
That was 2020.
That was in 2020.
Yeah.
2021, moving forward, we were going to have it at the base. It was all clear. And we had 134 families. And a month before the event, Captain McLean, the skipper of the base, calls me and he said, I cannot believe I'm having to call you to tell you this, but the Department of Defense has told us that we cannot have any gatherings of more than 50 people anywhere on the base. Well, our party, we have like 600 or 700 people that show up, so that wasn't going to work.
Right.
And so suddenly I find myself with no venue and yet a party that we're going to be giving like in a month. So I start getting on the phone and just making tons of phone calls. And then the people I call the people they called or that they know.
Yeah.
And, anyway, we talked to Chucky Hospers, the lady that owns the Vintage Flying Museum. Super nice lady.
Yeah.
But whenever I first called her, she's just like, I don't know if we can do that because we're open for business on the weekends, and you'd basically be shutting me down to do that. And I said, well, we'll pay you. We'll make it worth your time, but her place was the only place that really would have worked.
Let's give Chucky's museum a little shout out for the people that don't know where that is.
It's down on Meacham Field.
I don't know how you get there, but it's on the Meacham airfield, and I don't think you actually have to go into the airfield to get there, but it's...
No, if you know where the police department helicopter hangar is, it's down that road. You just go to where that road dead ends.
Yeah, it's kind of on the southeast corner.
I'm very directionally challenged. Yeah. I'm not sure if I can tell you.
But it's a museum with a bunch of old aircraft, and you can actually, I believe, because I still see it flying around, they've got that old World War II airplane that you can take rides on, and that operates
B-24,
out of that.
It's not there anymore. Or it was a B-29.
Oh, no.
Well, it's just been relocated to a place where it could actually be housed inside a hangar. And
okay.
It's I think it's in DeSoto or Duncanville.
Are they still doing the Fort Worth flights?
Yeah, I believe so.
Because I know I've seen them not too terribly long ago flying around.
Yeah, I think so.
Because every time I'd see it, I'd point at it and I'd go, I know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, it was always fun to see. But anyway, so Chucky, after some arm twisting, serious arm twisting, she finally said, okay, we'll let you do it. And it was wonderful. And actually, I think she absolutely loved having us there. Then I think the Navy felt a little guilty that they wouldn't let us have it at the base because they sent one of their F-18s over to Meacham Field for us.
How cool is that?
It was really cool. And then the Fort Worth Police Department, they actually offered us their hangar to have our event, but it just wasn't big enough, and they didn't have parking, and that's why Chucky's place was so perfect. She had
that huge field next to it.
Yes, and I mean, it accommodated us really, really well. But her place would not even be big enough for us this year. I mean, we've just got, I counted, I did a tally on all the different wish lists that we've got, 174 families. It's 651 total individuals that will have Christmas gifts.
And that's not
at that party. It's
not including everybody else that's going to be coming out there.
No, there's probably a couple of hundred volunteers, and all the, the staff out at the base that will come and join the party. Yeah. And then we have a huge cast of characters. We get Star Wars characters that come show up, and they do Jedi training with the kids and lightsaber training, and
there is
Chewbacca walking around, on his big tall stilts. And
do you know of the other organization that does a Christmas thing, Polar Express or something like that?
Well, there was Snowball Express.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
And
is that still going on out there?
No. The last time they had it there was, I think it was in 2018, and then Gary Sinise, he kind of took over that organization and moved it to Orlando so they could do a lot of events at Disney World and stuff like that. And I'm not even sure they're doing it there anymore. I'm not really sure where Snowball Express is taking place.
There's even more need for the organization that you've put together then, because I know that was a big event that a lot of families looked forward to.
And that was more Gold Star families and Gold Star kids.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but now that that's not there, I'm sure there's a larger level of appreciation for an organization like yours out there helping the families.
Yeah, it was going back to 2015, it was just like a light switch went off once we had that family. It just struck a chord with everybody, just how much it was needed. Yeah. And that first year we only did Navy and Marines because that was really the only connections that I had over there at the base. And then after that, I got to meet this guy named Scott Palomino, who is, he's like the, I can't even think what his position is, but he's Air Force. Okay. He works with the 301st. He is like, he's like a counselor. He's got a degree in psychology and social work, and he himself is a Purple Heart veteran. He served in the Air Force over in Iraq, and I believe he was hit by an IED, and he lost his leg, and he lost the guy that was serving next to him.
Oh, my God.
So anytime you see communication from Scott, he always has a memorial for the guy that was with him, a guy named Antoine Holt. But anyway, Scott works for the Airman and Family Readiness Center, I think is what it's called. And so he does a lot of counseling with families that might be having financial troubles, or, they've experienced some kind of tragedy of some sort, and they just need to know what their resources are that might be available. He counsels quite a few of those types of families, and so he's the one that really and truly filters the families that come to us from the Air Force. So we've got probably about, I haven't done a complete tally, but we've got about 45 Air Force families this year. I'm sure we've got at least 70 or 80 from the Navy. We have some from the Marines. We don't ever have as many from the Marines, but then the biggest other group that we get is from the 136 at the Texas National Guard, Air National Guard.
Okay. And that's, where are they located at?
They're over here at the base.
They are? Okay, so, I'm just used to
they're all there.
301st Fighter Wing is the only one I was familiar with.
No, well, it's a Navy base now.
Yeah, Navy base. And then what about those Army nerds over there?
There's very, very few Army nerds over there.
There might be more than you think. I think there's a company with about 400 to 500 people out there.
Well, we reach out to them
If you ever need
year.
contact information, I can help you with that.
I know Army generals.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Well,
they should know.
He's probably got more contacts than me.
We have reached out to the Army. They're just rapidly moving around.
Yeah.
They're being deployed, they're coming in, they're going out, and they're just hard to nail down.
Yeah.
Now, whenever they get their helicopter squadron moved over here, which is supposed to happen in the next couple of years, then we'll probably have some more Army families. Because
are they talking about taking the aviation component and moving the headquarters here?
That's what I've heard, over from Dallas or Grand Prairie or wherever they're at right now.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so combining something local to this one. All right. Very cool. Well, I heard a story today. We have a mutual friend now, Blythe. And what's Blythe's last name?
Reeves.
Her
husband is the chief of police
I
for
met him today,
Westworth.
too. Yeah. Actually, I confused him with somebody that had put handcuffs on me at the River Oaks Springfest car show.
Oh, okay.
They were out there doing something, and we had our thing set up, and somebody said, it'd be funny to get a picture with Andrew in handcuffs. And I said, oh, no, I don't think that's funny at all. We ended up doing it. But anyway, that was another officer. But yes, I did meet Blythe's husband today, and we were at a ribbon cutting. But anyway, she was telling me a story about either last year or the year before. There was a family, and I guess one of the kiddos had asked either for their parent or for one of the siblings to get a prosthetic leg instead of gifts that year. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, that was in 2016.
Oh, okay.
I remember because it was at the River Oaks Community Center where that story happened. We got a wish list from a mom in, and honestly, that was the only thing she needed money to be able to buy. It wasn't a prosthetic leg, but it was a brace.
Oh, okay.
It was a brace for her leg, and it was I don't know how much it was. It was probably like an $800 or $900 item, but
stuff
for her,
like that's not cheap. Yeah,
it was a lot of money, and I'm sure there probably were resources available for something like that. But that's what she put down on her wish list, and so we had plenty of people willing to take care of that little girl and her mom. But my husband likes that story too, because whenever we met the mom and that little girl, she was extremely shy. And I mean, she was just in her mom's lap and holding onto her neck and wouldn't let go. And my husband, he'd sit there next to her and he'd just talk to her and let her, have her space. He didn't want to make her feel intimidated or anything. But by the end of the day, she was letting him pick her up, and he actually got up on the stage in the community center and was talking about this little girl, and she was just holding on to him like, he was his grandfather or something. But it was a real sweet story. That was one of many. We got a lot of those stories.
Yeah. Is there another very important story that over the years you'd like to share with the listeners?
Oh, gosh.
Something that sticks out to you. I know it's weird when you get put on the spot like that. Your mind just goes blank.
There are many. I could go to one this year.
Yeah.
Just a recent one that I found out about. When we get these wish lists, I'm really I work really hard to make sure that I'm matching up a sponsor well to the recipient, because if you mismatch them, then the family may not get what they need. The sponsor may not be able to afford that particular wish list, and so I'm really particular about that. But this year, I heard about a service member whose husband had committed suicide this last year, and she's got several children. And anyway, I was going to be very, protective of that particular family to make sure that they got well taken care of, but by the right person too. Well, anyway, a friend of mine who just retired from the Air Force called me, and he said, well, I got my 2 wish lists in, but would you mind sending me 2 Air Force families? You sent me 2 Navy families. And so I'm not the one that put his name on those 2 wish lists. I think somebody else did that for me. But so I emailed those to him, and whenever he sent me that message back, I said, well, what did I send you? I said, yes, of course, I'll switch them out. So I said, well, I've just got this other wish list in. Would you like to take it? It's a single mom, but she lost her husband this year, and they've got 4 children. They're an Air Force family. And he said, absolutely, I'll take it. Well, as it turned out, that husband used to work for him, and he didn't even know that story until I sent him that wish list. And so those 2 Navy families were placeholders, because had I sent him 2 Air Force families, he never would have seen that or known about it. So God just works in mysterious ways sometimes in the way these things work out.
Yeah.
I got a call today from from a sponsor, and she had a question about something on the wish list, and she said, have you really looked at this one? And I said, I guess I haven't really paid attention to everything they asked for. She said, well, the dad said all he wants is to see his family smile. He didn't ask for anything else. He just wants his family to have something to smile about.
So do we know what she's going to get them?
I'm not ever going to tell. Lots of things that will make them smile, though, I'm sure.
Good.
Anyway, no, I don't. When you see the hanger, once they start unloading all these gifts, and you have tables and tables and tables, and they're just covered. I mean, it is thousands and thousands of gifts. Mm-hmm. There's no way I could know what's inside all those wrapped packages, but anyway, it's pretty overwhelming.
I think I know which hanger they're going to put you up into. It's the largest hanger I think they have on the base, and it's air conditioned too, isn't it? If it's the hanger I'm thinking of, and there's been USO shows there and things like that.
It probably is, yeah.
It's just massive. Mm-hmm. So, and it's awesome that you're focusing on the lower enlisted up to E6 too, because those soldiers do get displaced and moved around, and maybe they don't have their families, or maybe they don't have the means to provide an awesome Christmas for their family because of financial constraints or whatever. So, and I know that whenever I was, E1, E4, active duty, a lot of people would go home for their families, and then there were organizations that would step in and take care of single soldiers that stayed back and were still on base. And there's just a huge level of appreciation from the soldiers for organizations and people that do stuff like that. So I know how much what you're doing means just from having spent some time interacting with organizations that took care of us. So I think it's awesome what you're doing, and thank you.
When were you in the service?
Active from 05 to, wait a minute, that's not right, 03 to, no, 5 to 8. Yeah, that's right. 05 to 08.
And what branch?
All right, I was an Army nerd.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I reserves. I did that for 9 years out here at Carswell. So,
okay.
But yeah, those little organizations that pop up and just want to help make the holidays a little brighter for the troops. It's special. So I appreciate it.
Well, it's our pleasure to do it.
There's a lot of people that appreciate it too, it sounds like.
Yeah, there are. I don't know what to say. It's just grown so much. I haven't done the math yet, but up until this year, we had helped 512 military families accumulatively over the last year. And so you add 512 to 174, where does that put us? We're at almost 700 families.
It's incredible. Yeah.
It's
so
a lot.
It sounds like a week ago you were really struggling to find enough people to sponsor all the families that you pulled in, because you had no idea that you were going to have this many families.
No, I didn't. Every time I was afraid to open my email because I didn't know what I was going to find. And every time I did, there's like 5 more families, 6 more families.
Yeah.
And I was expecting maybe to get to 150-ish, but I was not expecting that number at all. And so, I mean, I've got a list of people that I've gone to every year that have participated. Some were not able to do it this year, but I thought I had a really pretty good amount of, people that would sign up to do this. And then all of a sudden, the pile gets higher of wish lists and my sponsor list gets lower. And pretty soon, I just didn't have sponsors left.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody to go to. And I was staring at a stack of about 45 or 50 that still needed to be sponsored. And I got to tell you, I was in panic mode.
Yeah.
I mean, I was terrified because I don't want to ever see that happen. I don't want to see this thing fail ever. And I called some friends of mine that were with different organizations, the Fort Worth Air Power Council, the Roll Call Organization. I don't know if you're familiar with any of these.
I'm not yet.
The Air Power Foundation. And then some individuals within those organizations. Anyway, they all started putting out emails. And then individuals from those organizations would start calling their friends or putting out emails. And anyway, and I got to tell you, God and I had some serious talks about that, because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I really have no idea how I'm going to do this. I really need your help, Lord. Please. I need it badly. And I'm telling you, the next day, it was like he was just telling me, just sit back, just wait. I'm sending you help. And next thing you know, my inbox was flooded. I mean, just people. And then
great.
And donations coming in and people saying, we want to help. We want to sponsor a family. And so by 5 o'clock, today's Saturday, Thursday, 5 o'clock Thursday afternoon, I had the last email, or the last the last wish list sponsored.
That's awesome.
It went out the door. And I mean, and it was just in time for Veterans Day, so I could say to 174 veterans families, we got your back for Christmas.
That is so great.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. I know that's got to be a huge weight off your shoulders.
Oh, it was. It was huge. And before we even get to Christmas, we've got a Thanksgiving event that we're doing this week.
And where are y'all doing that?
Well, we had enough money donated last year that we had to do something with it. We wanted to be able to turn it back towards the families on the base, but we had to find an appropriate way to do that. And so we had to consult with legal again and the skipper of the base, and we decided that we were going to direct a donation to the Tarrant Area Food Bank.
Okay, yeah.
And we had a $40,000 donation ready to go. And we were going to have a meeting with Julie Butner, who is the president and CEO over there. And anyway, I had an errand to run one Saturday morning. I'm going somewhere with this. And I was at Central Market. And I looked up and I saw Kay Granger in their grocery shopping. And I've met her before several times. And so I called her out and I was like, I'm Kerre with Holidays and Heroes. She's like, oh, yeah, how are you doing? We just had this nice little conversation. And then I started telling her about our deal that what we're doing with the food bank. And she's like, I want to be a part of that. I'm going to give you some more money. And she stood there in the grocery store and wrote me a $5,000 check.
Now, Kay Granger is our state's representative?
Yeah, she's our, U.S. Congresswoman.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, she just won re-election.
Now, where do you do your shopping? Because I've never had a Congress lady hand me a $5,000 check before.
Well, I just happened to be at Central Market, and it was just for one thing, and I did not go in there to stalk her for sure. I had no idea that I was going to see her there, but
although you might keep another eye out for her next year.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, so we increased that donation to $45,000, and so what does $45,000 do? I'm going to tell you now. It bought 45,000 pounds worth of food, number one, maybe closer to 50,000 pounds.
Wow.
We're going to be able to provide enough food for a family of 4 for at least a week, and that will include everything that they need to make a Thanksgiving meal, and then have enough for leftovers for the rest of the week. So we are serving 500 families this Wednesday.
That is incredible.
Thanksgiving.
That is incredible.
It is. It's amazing. So we've got a box.
I'm so sorry. This is the first year you've done that.
First
right?
year, yeah, to
Excellent.
add that on to everything else.
Well, you're going to be on the Tarrant County Food Bank speed dial now.
Well, maybe.
Oh,
if
yeah.
things keep going the way they are this year, we'll probably be doing it again next year.
Yeah.
We have a big boxing event over at the food bank tomorrow, Monday. My days are all mixed up right now, so I keep calling out the wrong day. But on Monday, we're going to be over there assembling all of these boxes and bags of food, and then they'll be delivered over to the base. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be delivering them to the service members. They're going to do a drive-through event where, they all have to have their name on a list, but so they're all reserved. But they've had 500 people request meals.
Wow.
500 families, and so we're going to be able to take care of 500 families on top of another 174 families at Christmas. It's pretty amazing.
That is incredible. I mean, I have these little events that I've put on, and I know how much stress that puts on me just doing these tiny little events. You are literally taking care of 174 families. Mm-hmm. That is way more stress than I can ever imagine. So it's incredible.
It's like a wedding weekend, because the day that we collect the gifts, we have a party at our house that we have commanders come over from the base, and they're in their full dress uniforms, and then we have the sponsors and donors of these families come in and get to do a meet and greet with them. Mm-hmm. And then we've got firemen and volunteers outside with the moving trucks, and they're collecting the gifts and checking them off a checklist to make sure that every family's getting accounted for. And so, I mean, that's a big party in itself. And so I go to bed after that party and get up 6 hours later and go set up for another party for, it's a ordeal. And it takes a lot of people. I mean, I've got this amazing organization of people that just want to be a part of it and help. They're huge help.
And where have you kind of networked and collected your volunteers? Who are these people?
It started just to be mostly the people in my neighborhood and just people that I knew,
Family and friends?
Yeah. And I'd have to go back a little bit further than 2015, but really what inspired this was, I think it was in 2010, I heard a chaplain on a radio station talking about trying to collect stockings for soldiers to send over to Kandahar, Afghanistan. Yeah. And I don't know, something just struck me that would be something that maybe I could participate in. And so I went out and bought red stockings from every grocery store or Walmart or Target where I could find stockings, and put them on all the doors in my neighborhood with a letter telling them what I wanted them to put in there and where we were going to be sending them. And they all bought into it, and we sent a little over 300 stockings to Kandahar, Afghanistan, just mostly from the people in my neighborhood, and then from some other friends and family that did not live in the neighborhood, but they loved doing it. And so that's what inspired this thing going forward. When we started this, I just remembered how patriotic and how excited people were to help the military, and because we've got the military right outside the gates of our neighborhood, and we see them at the grocery store or at the gas station or at the fast food restaurants, it just inspired me that we've got families here locally, and maybe their spouse is deployed, that they could probably use some help. And so that one event back in 2010 with the stockings is really kind of what led to the idea of doing this. And so it really started in my neighborhood, and it's just grown outside of that, and it's just through networking. Yeah. People finding out about us.
Well, people are going to want to know now, having heard you talk on the Fort Worth Roots podcast, what they can do to support your organization. Are you looking for more volunteers?
Volunteers, I think we've got a lot of volunteers, and I've got a think about some crowd control. But yes, they can definitely go on our website and they can go to the Get Involved section and fill out all their information. Let me know how they would like to be involved. But they're also welcome to make donations, because we really are good stewards with people's money. I mean, we make sure we pay for this party at the base is not cheap. I mean, we're providing lunch for all these families.
Yeah, well, that adds up.
It's about a $9,000 bill. Yeah. I mean, it's not cheap.
Just for the food.
Just for the food. And then we've got Santa photographers that are there, and they take pictures of all the kids with Santa Claus, and they all get to go home with a souvenir photo, and they get to go home with a folder that they put the photo in. And, you know, that's not free. They give us a nice break, but it's not free.
Right.
There's just a lot of things. We're having to rent tables and chairs and all that stuff. There's a lot of expenses. It's not a cheap party. So people, when they're donating, they're helping also to give these families that Christmas experience, because it's a party like no other. Yeah. It really is. And then when we have kind of gotten past Christmas, we kind of reassess where we are financially, and that's how we came up with this money to do this Thanksgiving event this year. So one way or the other, you can feel assured that you're supporting families.
Yeah. If there's extra, if there's excess at the end of the accounting year, you're going to find a way to use those funds to continue to support the community.
Absolutely.
That's incredible.
The military families at the base, yes, specifically.
And I have a graphic, if you're watching the video, and I think it's a little overexposed because it's so bright, but I've got the Holidays and Heroes Fort Worth Facebook page in front of me right now that you can see, but what is the website for them to go to? Is it holidaysandheroes.com?
.org.
Okay. And that will be in the show notes. And you said there's a tab specifically for people to put their name in the hat to help with the organization.
Right. There's a donate button at the top of the page. It's a big, bright yellow button. You can't miss it. And then if they scroll down, there's a section called Get Involved.
Okay.
And they can fill in their information and send it to me. And, you know, it may be too late for this year, but, you know, we can reach out for next year and see where we can get them plugged in.
Definitely. So. And now that you've been on the Fort Worth Roots podcast, anytime, you know, if we're going to keep this up annually, let me know, remind me, tag me or whatever. Okay. And we'll make sure to share your information with the Fort Worth Roots listeners. So.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's always a pleasure reaching out to or having people who are involved with the community on the show. So thank you, because this is something that we've been wanting to do more and more of. And just recently we're working with the Gladney Center and CASA of Tarrant County and things like that, trying to help these organizations. So I'm glad to have a veteran organization in here for a change. I don't think we've done that yet. So
well, here you go.
Awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners before we get out of here?
Well, just keep your eyes open. Keep them open to the people around you, and just be sensitive to somebody that you don't know what their situation is and what they're going through. You know, you just share kindness, share joy, and pay it forward if somebody's shown kindness to you. And that's what I hope happens with these military families, is that I guess my main goal for them is that they will realize that this community is here for them. They are not here alone. We love them. And, you know, it's just what we do is just a great conduit between the community and the people at the base, just to let them know that we're all there. We're in this together.
Awesome. I love that.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're definitely paying it forward. And on behalf of myself and everybody else that just listened to this episode, thank you for what you're doing.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
All right, Fort Worth Roots, thank y'all for being here, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye. A huge thank you to Kerre for being on the Fort Worth Roots podcast and telling us a little bit about holidaysandheroes.org. Next year, we're going to do one of two things for Kerre, because we were a little late to the punch on this one. So I either want to have Kerre back on the show to talk about the success of this season and how well all that went and some more stories for our listeners, or we are going to re-air this episode. But like we talked about in this episode, they do need your support. This is the kind of organization that definitely needs some support. So anyway, go check them out, holidaysandheroes.org. And you can do a few different things. You can volunteer to be a volunteer, or you can make a monetary donation, or put your name on a list for wanting to sponsor a family. All great ways that you can help this organization. You can also find them on Facebook by searching Holidays and Heroes Fort Worth. Kerre, thank you very much. She was nice enough to give us some of her time. We jumped her into the schedule, and want to make sure that next year we're ahead of the power curve and we can get people's attention well before the fact, because a lot of this stuff has already happened. And so your opportunity to help with this season has passed, but there's always next season. So go check them out and see what you can. I was checking out the website this morning, and they've got a really cool video. So if you're wondering what these parties look like, as soon as you log into their website, they've got a video playing in the background, and it's very, very professionally done and lots of fun. There's Chewbacca and some Star Wars people, and anyway, it's cool. Go check it out. holidaysandheroes.org. Okay, short breath. Just had to, whew. Okay, we're good. Let's go. This weekend, Saturday the 10th, December 10th, 6 p.m., starting off, River Oaks Christmas Parade. Starts at 6 p.m. Route ends at City Hall for the Christmas tree lighting. Darren's going to be out there. At any rate, when you get done with the Christmas parade, it's time to run over to Lola's. Go support our friends Jaybirds. Get some excellent food, drinks, and some wonderful music. It's going to be a great event. Got Brave Little Hal out there, Good Latimer, and then I think I'm saying this right. I hope I'm just reading it. I've never heard it spoken out loud. So it's Court Huang. It's with an H. I think I'm adding a W. Hong. Maybe. I don't know. Somebody correct me. $10 pre-sale and $13 at the door. Starts at 7 p.m. Go check them out. Okay. And, of course, shout out to our listener supporters. Angela Walker has been a supporter on the Patreon website. She's our Patreon patron supporting the Fort Worth Roots podcast. And Stephanie Daniels. You can support the show for as little as $4 a month. Comes with little perks and benefits, and we say nice things about you on the show, and who doesn't need that? Anyway, enough panhandling out of me. Just by listening to the show, you're supporting us, so thank you for being here. Sponsors, Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk, of course. Go to roofingsolutionshouk.com or 817-882-6520. And you do get that 50% off roofing tune-up just by telling them that you heard about them on the Fort Worth Roots podcast. Something wild happens here in North Texas almost every year, sometimes multiple times in a year. We get these crazy hailstorms, and it just beats the hell out of every roof in the DFW area. Whenever that happens, a lot of the good, reputable roofing companies have got their hands full with all the people that found them before, the people that trust them to take care of them every time something like this happens. And so whenever there's a storm, they get overwhelmed with the amount of calls that come in, and it can be a real issue trying to get a quality roofer. And then what people end up doing is they go for one of these companies that are from out of town, these storm chasers, and it's not what you want. I did a little bit of roofing some years ago, and what you would see whenever you'd be out there trying to help your customers is their neighbors were getting just harassed by these out-of-town storm chasers that would come in, knock on their doors until they were ready to lose their minds, trying to get them to sign up with their company. Now, the problem is these out-of-town outfits, maybe they're really good at what they do, but whenever they pack up and they go chase another storm, you don't have the support that you're going to need if anything didn't get right. And with a job that size, there's a lot of little things that could go wrong. If you go with a local outfit like Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk, they're here to help you. So if there's a little issue, it's nothing for them to just drive down the street, fix the issue, and you're good to go. It might take 6 months, or it might never happen with one of these out-of-town outfits. And the reason that I'm telling you this is so that you can be prepared. You already know who you're going to call. You already know who to talk to. And don't take it from a silly podcaster. Do your own research. If you go on Google or any other platform and you look up Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk, you're going to see a sterling record with great ratings and a wonderful reputation in our community. The reason for that is because their family has been doing this for a very long time. Darren's father was roofing here in River Oaks for a very long time, and then Darren got into it, and he's been doing it for a very long time. I just simply cannot think of a better organization to trust your most valuable asset to whenever it comes to roofing. So, anyway, they sponsor the show. Of course, we're going to talk about them. But I'm going to say really good things about these people because they're not just my sponsors. They're my friends. And they have a great reputation. So I don't mind putting my name as a proving authority on this company. Okay, that's enough of that. Darren, we love you. All right. Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk. Go to roofingsolutionshouk.com, 817-882-6520. Again, that's 50% off on a roof tune-up. Just mentioned Fort Worth Roots. HoukWalker Originals, HoukWalker.com. You can go there and you can see some really awesome stuff for your gift baskets or your stocking stuffers or big old presents to put under the trees. Also, if you need something customized for your office, they have a laser engraver, and they can do custom stuff on pretty much any surface for any object that you can think of. Go check them out, see what they got going. These people are sponsors of the show, and rather than getting on Amazon and buying something from China, you can keep Fort Worth dollars in Fort Worth pockets. Just go to HoukWalker.com. Our friends at Wood Post Metalworks. You can go to woodpostmetalworks.com, and on checkout, use podcast 817 for a 10% off. These guys have been busy. They've been putting up signs at businesses all over Fort Worth. In fact, where was I at? I think it was called The Table. I was walking through kind of a random place in South downtown Fort Worth, and I saw this sign outside of a store. I was walking into a store neighboring that one, and it caught my attention. I saw that sign. I was like, man, that looks pretty sick. And I went about my day, and I think maybe 2, 3, 4 days later on Facebook, they posted, hey, we just put this new sign up at this business, and I saw it. I'm like, oh, I saw that. That's crazy. Anyway, so they do stuff like that. They do signs for businesses, steel signs that they use their plasma cutter on, and a lot more. Anything you can think of as far as light steel metal work. With their plasma cutter, they also do fence installation and all sorts of creative stuff. So check that out. I'm always talking about their fire pits. They've got these really cool fire pits with custom designs in them, and I'm absolutely certain you can have them custom make something for you or a loved one as a gift. But these fire pits break down and lay flat. You pull these pins out, they lay down, you can take them anywhere, and then, tailgate party, cookout, camping trip, pull it out of your vehicle, put the pins back in, and you got this big old firebox. Really cool. woodpostmetalworks.com. And if anybody from Wood Post Metalworks is listening, I got some cool ideas. I'm going to be reaching out to you soon. I need some stuff for the studio. So let's get some Wood Post Metalworks stuff right up here in the Fort Worth Roots studio. I've already got some HoukWalker Original stuff here in the glass case at the studio on display. If you've got a really cool idea, doesn't even have to be that cool. Let's be honest. It can be a mildly cool idea for a guest on the show or an activity that we could get involved in or anything that you have in your mind that we need to be doing. Holler at us. You can email me at media@fortworthroots.com. And also get me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't mess with Twitter. Although with all the Elon Musk Twitter nightmare stuff going on, I got to tell you, I've been a little interested. I might start tweeting. I don't know. No promises. I doubt it, actually, but maybe. Don't forget our friends over at Holidays and Heroes. Go to holidaysandheroes.org. If nothing else, just go check out the really cool video they have. You're sitting there right in front of your computer right now. Check it out. holidaysandheroes.org, even if you don't volunteer or anything. I know. We're always talking about different organizations that you need to contribute to, but that's my job. I got to tell you about the cool stuff that's happening in our community, and people like this deserve our support, right? They're out here doing it all by themselves. So give it a shot. holidaysandheroes.org. And again, thank you, Kerre, very much. And please let us know how we can support you in the future. Okay, that's enough. Thank you for being here. I will see you next week. Peace.